account and actually think that that's pretty cool. That there's nothing to feel good about. It's nothing. I don't understand it. I really don't understand how he can do that. Now, Fran Fraschilla, I remember this guy. He used to always call the Team USA games, and he would really just piss me off. Seriously, he would really piss me off. He would always say things like, the European game is a lot more physical than the American game. And I'm like, dude, they're fouling. Like, they're literally fouling. They're hacking. What do you mean that's more physical? Just because you're hacking, that doesn't mean that you're physical. Like, physical is what LOB would do to you. Put their hands on you, reroute you. That's a physical brand of football. Or even if we want to go with the NBA, like the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, the Detroit Pistons, they would slap you in the face. But those guys could actually play some defense. It was a physical brand. Or if we want to even go current. I remember when the Boston Celtics, when they had Tom Thibodeau, there was a physical type defense. Kendrick Perkins beat down on Pau Gasol. They were very physical. That's physical. Being able to play defense and not foul. What I see when I watch the Europeans, I see a bunch of guys who can't move their feet, and then they resort to sit there and they start fouling. That's not defense. I don't understand what he's talking about. And I used to get so sick and tired of him. Now, I really haven't watched Team USA play. Number one, I don't have the network, which is, I think it's 216, the NBA network. I don't have it. It's not in the package plan, but what's that? The NFL network and Major League Baseball, it is. The NBA really needs to do something about that. But I hate when I hear him say that. And then when those same European players, when they come to the NBA, they get demolished. They are soft, and we see it, and I just don't like that. And I'm here to tell you today that the Europeans have made the NBA soft. Simple as that. The NBA game is soft. And I want to talk about this more here on the Grizz. Yes, we're getting ready to get turned all the way up. And hold on, Doug, I got to get one for you. You're listening to the Grizz here on SME. So, Doug, I did it. Now, like I always say before, I can't guarantee you that I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to be honest with you. Doug, he always texts me and be like, Grizz, you had a good show. But, I want you to reset the show, and I'm doing it now. But coming up on the Grizz, like I said before, the Europeans made the game soft. I want to talk about that next. We're back, and this is the Grizz, and thank you for listening to me on SME. So before the break, I was talking about, Kevin Durant and how I just completely lost all respect for him, and that pretty much, I'm not going to be very nice to Kevin Durant. I'm really not. Now, during the NBA game, or not the NBA game, during Team USA game, he nailed a 3-point shot 7 seconds into the game. I guess that was cool. No, you know what? No, I don't like it. No. Anything that Kevin Durant does on the basketball floor, I am not going to like it. I completely lost all respect for that guy. I can't believe that he actually sit there and he did that. And like I said before, I truly believe that he heard the pundits talk about him not winning a championship, and he was like, you know what? I don't have that gall. I don't have the mitigated gall, or that's how the word should have been said before. I don't have the gumptions to sit there and do it by myself or do it with a Russell Westbrook. I have to go play with another superstar. So yeah, I don't have no respect for Kevin Durant. Now, and I was talking about this before I went on break, the European game has really made the NBA soft. And, I was talking about Fran Fraschilla and how every time I hear him talk about how the game is played in Europe and how it's a physical game, I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know nothing. Like, how about you just be quiet? I don't want to hear you talk about, well, this guy and that guy. Man, these guys, they can't play. And do you remember in 2003 where it was the most Europeans, take that back. In 2003, that holds the record for the most international players selected in the first round with 8. Do you remember that? That was because of people like Pau Gasol, people like Dirk Nowitzki, and everybody thought that they was going to be able to get them somebody like that. And it just wasn't the case. I have a stat for you. Since 1998, when Nowitzki was drafted, 21% of lottery picks from American colleges have been all-stars at least once, 41 of 194. Meanwhile, 11% of Europeans drafted in the lottery since 1998 have been all-stars, 2 of 18. So what does that tell you? The Europeans, that stuff that he's talking, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And I'm just tired of it. I really am. I talked about how a friend of mine's, he's a coach at a community college, and I was asking him about, how does he train his big man, what type of drills they do, and some of the drills, I was like, okay, that's cool. And then he started talking about how, we're teaching them how to shoot 3-point shots, and I'm like, hold up, what are you talking about? And he's going to say, well, that's something that the Europeans do. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? The Europeans, they're not even all that good, especially not the big man. The only person that comes to my mind is Dirk and Pau. Dirk is a true superstar. Like I said before on this show, I have the utmost respect for Dirk. I do. Because he sit there, went up against Miami, Udonis Haslem, the first time, put the clamps on him, clank, clank. You remember that, right? And then he had to learn his lesson. Like, this is the NBA, mind you. Dirk he had already solidified himself. I think he had already won not a finals MVP, but what is that? An MVP of the league. So he had already solidified himself, but he never had to go up against grimy defense for 7 games. He wasn't used to that, and they didn't even lose in 7. I think it was like 6 games. He wasn't used to that. He had to get used to that. That's something that Europe, it can't get you ready for. So when Fran Fraschilla sits there and say that their game is more physical than our game, I'm like, dude, sit down and shut up. No, hold on, he's already sitting down. So he needs to stand up. And then he needs to sit down and then shut up. Seriously, it kills me. Like when I remember growing up, and I'm like, why are they drafting all of these European dudes? Why? These dudes, they come over here and they can't play. Just because you're 16 years old and you're playing in a professional adult league, that doesn't mean absolutely nothing to me. It doesn't mean nothing to me. I'm sorry. And then you look at the Europeans when they come over here, they're weak, they're fragile. It's like, dude, really? And you trying to tell me that this dude is going to be good? That's why, wow, I'm serious. I can't believe it. And it really made the NBA soft. You know what? I'm not going to say it made the game soft, but it made the thinking of the NBA soft. It made the philosophizing of the NBA soft, because people like Kevin Garnett and Kendrick Perkins, those guys, they were not soft. I remember when Pau Gasol went up against the Boston Celtics. I remember that series vividly. And Pau Gasol, he was scared. He was scared. He needed a guard dog because those guys was on his behind. And he wasn't ready for that. He wasn't. Yes, he had all the skills in the world, but you need more than just skills. You need some bronze. And that he wasn't ready for that. The same thing like Dirk Nowitzki. Yeah, you can shoot the ball, but what happens when you have somebody who can take point A, point B away from your game? Then what you gonna do? What happens when you have to put a little bit of physicality in your game to be able to go through the contact and then still be able to score the basketball? You can't do it. That's why Udonis Haslem shut him down. And then I was even more mad at Erik Spoelstra during the second time that they went up against each other. This buffoon sits there and he takes Udonis Haslem out the game and then puts in Chris Bosh. I'm like, hold up. Really? Chris Bosh needs to be on that bench. Why is Chris Bosh in the basketball game? Put in Udonis Haslem. History tells us that this is this guy's kryptonite. Put the guy in the game. But Erik Spoelstra wanted to give Chris Bosh that star treatment, like, you know what? Yeah, you're part of the big three. Here, let me put you out there and let me see what you can do. And then what happened? He got scored upon, and Dirk won a championship for that. That's one of the main reasons why I have Dirk above Charles Barkley. And there, should I say it? I don't think I should. Karl Malone. That's one of the main reasons why I have like Dirk above those guys, simply because of the championship that he won. When you win a championship, it shows me something. It shows me that you can win. Like, you're the best that particular year. Nobody can say anything different. But then on the other hand, you did lose to Michael Jordan, so I don't know. I'm still going to go with Dirk. But if you said, nah, Grizz, I'm still going to go with Sir Charles, and I'm going to go with somebody like Karl Malone. I can't sit there and I can't refute it, but I'm all about the rings. Well, yeah, I am all about the rings, but then it also depends upon who you lose to and who you beat. But yeah, the Europeans, no. I remember when Vlade Divac, when he came to the Lakers, and he was just flopping everywhere, and he was just as soft. I remember guys would sit there and elbow him. It was like, dude, this dude is soft, and he playing for the Lakers? See, that's something that they're not ready for when they come to the States. They're not ready for this guy from Compton or this guy from Queens who is about that life. Like, some of these guys are like some gangsters. Like, let's be honest about it. Some of these guys, they're not nice guys. So when you have a guy that's from the streets and he has that street mentality and you're not used to that and you got to go up against that, oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for you. And they're not used to that. They made the game soft. Now, do they have skills? Yes. Yes, they have skills. But like I said before, none of that stuff matters when you can't take the physicality. They couldn't take it. Andre Bargnani, remember him? Taking number 1 overall in the 2006 NBA draft. Guess what? He's no longer in the NBA. And when I'm looking at his stats, now he's from Italy. He played 10 years in the NBA for the Toronto Raptors. Mind you, he was taken number 1 overall. Career numbers, 14 points, 4.6 rebounds. Come on now, really? Straight soft. One of them Europeans. Like, you can't pay me to take a European. No, I'll take that back. You could. If you're telling me that he's going to be a Dirk Nowitzki, not a Pau Gasol, because Pau Gasol only gets you to the first round. Mind you, he only gets you to the first round because that's exactly what he did when he was with Memphis. And then Kobe got a hold of him, and then he won 2 NBA championships. But you telling me I can get a Dirk, I'm going to take that. But if you telling me I'm going to get a Pau, nah, I'm okay. Give me a Dirk. But yes, the Europeans, they really, really made the philosophizing of the NBA very, very soft. You give me a guy who can play in the mid post, who can face up and be physical in the paint, that's what I want. Now, we're on the NBA, and I'm going to talk a little, well, not a little bit of football. I'm going to talk a lot of football, but I want to get off into an individual who I used to like growing